Okay, let's make sea monsters. Here we are at the Waterfront Arts Festival, and we are going to imagine that sea monsters are coming out of the sea, and we want to imagine what they look like. We're going to start out with a piece of tinfoil. We're going to crumple it up to make the snaky body, but we're going to leave a little bit of the head not crumpled up, and we're going to cut that part in half. And then we're going to crunch up one part to make the top jaw of the sea monster's mouth, and then we're going to crunch up the other part, the bottom part, to make the bottom jaw of our sea monster's mouth. So at this point, our sea monster kind of looks a little bit like a snake, like a sea serpent. Now we're going to take flat pieces of clay and we're going to wrap them around the sea serpent's body. So we're going to flatten the clay on the table. We're going to flip it over and to make sure it's not sticking to the table, and we're going to wrap it around the parts of the sea serpent's body, around his head, his mouth. Just use very thin sheets because you don't want to waste the clay. I actually ran out of clay when I got to the head, and I had to use a darker blue for the head. But nobody's ever really seen a real sea serpent, so nobody knows exactly what they look like. So they could be any color, so it's okay that the head's dark blue and the rest of the body's light blue. Anyway, now I'm going to add the ears. And I just mush those on because it's an oil-based clay. You can just smooth them on. And now I'm going to roll a very thin snake of red clay. I'm going to roll it so thin. This isn't even thin enough. I'm going to keep rolling it. And then I'm going to use it to line his mouth. I'm going to make the gums. So I'm going to just wrap it around just to give it a little lining, almost like lips or gums. And if I've got a little extra, I'll use that for the tongue. Now I'm going to make the teeth out of white clay. And I actually noticed when I started putting it together that the top teeth were too big, so I actually had to make them smaller to make it look right. And then the eyes, I used black and white clay, and I used a toothpick to make the pupil of the eye, just to give him a cute, kind of googly-eyed feeling. And then I went ahead and I started to make the spikes on his back. And I used, again, a different color because no one knows what sea serpents really look like. So I used green here, and I made the spikes all along his back. And then I added some stripes. I used yellow for the stripes, and then that was it. Those were just the last finishing touches. As you can see, I could have used any colors to make them because nobody really knows what sea serpents look like. So we get to use our imagination and have fun bringing them to life. I'll be running arts and crafts activities at the Waterfront Arts Festival in Sadowski Park in Perth Amboy on May 26th. We'll be making puppets out of paper, sea monsters out of clay, blowing bubbles, coloring pictures, and generally having lots of fun. So make sure you bring your kids and stop by my table.